Hello, everybody. Welcome to Theory Forge, episode 16, December 15th update hype! And hosting today's show is going to be Sog over on screen right. Sog, take it away.
Hey everybody, I'm Sog. I'm I'm the official hype stopper for the day. I want to introduce some other people that we have here. Our other regular host, Phantom X from EQ Nexus. Say hello.
Hello,
Or
everyone. Sorry for
all
the
right,
funky camera angle.
Frozen Camera. Yes, awesome. And we have one of our regular uh, talkative, interactive viewers. We're very excited to have Babycannon here. Say hello, please.
Hi.
So
So
good to
tell
have
us a
you.
little bit more about yourself.
Not much to tell. I like gaming. I like having opinions. Um, I'm a former community manager, the cutest little RPG on the face of the earth, which sadly closed down last year. And ever since then, I've just kind of been foofing around and trying out different games. And I don't know. I like Landmark. I like finding the shinies.
What game was that?
It was called Natarum. As nobody ever heard of it, sadly. So yeah, it's a long story.
Well, it's perfect that we have you on today because you are the the perfect example of somebody who came into the game after alpha, um, really likes the cave and exploration part of the game, and not a huge builder, but you know interested in it as it's going on. And we have this
I
big
suck
update
at it.
coming. Well, reasons for reasons aside, you enjoy the adventuring part even in its non-existent state. And
Yeah.
we have an update coming on Monday that I am I'm referring to December 15th to do some discussion we have had earlier, and Neurotoxin suggested the term builderocalypse, the end the end of the builder era. What are you looking forward to with this big update?
My poor little toon will not see sunlight ever again. I will be living in the caves. I will be killing every monster I can in every single conceivable possible way possible to see how easily I can break stuff. And I want to find all of the ley lines. All of them. Now. So yeah, I'm not coming back up to the surface unless it's to empty out my bag.
Gotcha.
So then, Neuro, what do you think you're going to be doing? You've got all these shows going on. Content and creations, I'm assuming will continue happening, but
That's
will you
going to
be
get
back?
interesting. It's
Will
because
you be back to a landmark daily, or I'll let you talk.
oh man, Landmark Daily's not coming back because the hours that I use for that now go to my dream job because I'm 26 hours a week there and I'm anticipating that it'll get higher at some point. So yeah, that one unfortunately is not going to be coming back, but I might be playing Landmark a little bit more here and there. Yeah, the evening shows when we don't have a Who's Gaming Now show, definitely going to get something going probably starting next week in those time slots, the 8 to 10 p.m. Pacific. So if I'm not doing a Who's Gaming Now, then I'm going to be probably getting in something, probably getting a lot of Landmark initially, and I'll probably be playing some on my own, not streaming, just because sometimes it's nice to not have to worry about the pressure of streaming and just like just do whatever and try stuff out, and if it's silly, it's silly. But other than that,
So,
I guess trying all the systems is the main thing for me.
and
Monsters.
yeah, Phantom X, you've been looking forward to this for a long time.
like I said, I've never been a builder. I'm not a builder. I don't know the last time I updated Landmark or logged in, but that is my, yeah, Monday is, well, I guess what, we've been warned up to 48 hours, but uh, yeah, I'm going to be killing whatever I can find. I guess I'm going to be forced to learn the combat system that's kind of clanky, but I'll deal with it.
So when things change and a whole bunch of things are added to the game, we're still a long way away from open beta. What do we think? How do we think the entire world is going to change around that? And do we think that that's a good thing or a bad thing in the long run?
It has to happen. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. It's really hard to say. Everything has just been so builder focused. Who knows where it's going to end up? I mean, I hope we don't lose builders. I'm still having a hard time understanding where their role is going to ultimately be, but I don't think we're going to see a huge influx of maybe returning players, but not necessarily new. But
yeah, I don't think we're going to have a huge influx of new players, but I know that they're planning a bigger marketing push sometime mid-January for trying to get new players. Is that right? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, they had said maybe a month or so ago the idea that January is when they're going to want to start letting people get a new fresh start in Landmark. People who hadn't tried it before, or people coming back to try the new fun stuff. So that's that. Hopefully, that's actually what the goal is not necessarily to go to open beta initially, but to try to kind of at least bring back the people that had played before and maybe have it a little bit more enticing. I guess this would be the last opportunity for anybody to get a Founders Pack, because once we go open beta, that opportunity goes away. So anybody who wants a Trailblazer, who wants their name in the credits but never knew about Landmark until like January 12th or something, will still have the opportunity to buy in and get a Trailblazer pack.
I just hope that they take the time to get things mostly debugged before they start their big marketing push. Because they really, I mean, as much as they were upfront about it being so early in the development process when they let people in, a lot of people still don't understand that, even now, and it really hurt their public image. So hopefully before they really start with their big marketing push, they'll have things cleaned up a lot.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I am hoping PvP is a good example of something that, it was barely even ready, or still is barely even ready to be tested. And there are some neat concepts to it, but it's not a marketing aspect for the game. It's not a, hey, come here yet. But where building in alpha was new and interesting and had lots of interesting test features, which was a good way to bring people in, I think. So as we expand the feature set of Landmark, and people have been talking since the beginning that we want more to do. I'm tired of just building. Can't I have PvP? Then it's, can't I have monsters? Can't I have this? Do we think that expanding this feature set is going to make the world that we have now, where building is really good, building is a great thing to do in Landmark, do we think that this will be taking away from it? I think it might. I think it's going to be. I think there's going to be some antagonistic systematic stuff, and that at least at the beginning. I think it's going to be a hard transition.
It removes access to the process, is what it does. It doesn't. Sorry, go ahead.
I would say there has to be. I mean, it's been a builder's paradise up until now. It's going to have to change. Not that they want that, but it's just by necessity, I think.
I think of every sandbox game that I've really enjoyed, and they're mostly the 2D ones, Terraria, Korea, and Edge of Space in particular. there's no free roll, free roaming, free building and stuff. Yeah, the first tier now, the things don't aggro on you as readily unless you're in a hazard zone. But generally, with all of those games, if you want to be able to build stuff and craft stuff and make cool looking structures and functional things, you have to go into danger. You have to engage in the creatures and stuff out there. Terraria in particular, you have to go maybe about halfway or further through the standard difficulty phase before you even get access to the tools to start doing the circuitry stuff. So, it's something you actually have to progress in those games before you can really build in a meaningful way, and actually have access to all the materials as well. It's been really easy for a long time to get access to everything in Landmark, and I think it's one of those things where for everybody, seeing the change that going from alpha beta to what we're getting on the 15th is going to be a drastic change, but anybody coming into Landmark as an outsider, it's no difference to them. It's like, yeah, it's a sandbox game. I have to fight stuff. I expect that.
I think in that sense, the having everything right from the start, I think that'll change more when they add achievements in than on the 15th, because I mean, one could only assume, or at least I assume, that part of the achievement rewards are going to be things like expanding your building tool set or expanding your template space or expanding your backpack or stuff like that, as opposed to it all being handed to us as one package right up front.
I think those will be huge growing pains. I mean, everybody that plays right now are builders. It's going to be such a change. Not just is everything going to actually work, but I think you're going to have a focus off of builders for a while who have been the core of this game. So there's going to be at some point some sort of, I don't want to say backlash, but I think there'll be some people upset. Hopefully they don't leave. Hopefully they realize this is still testing. It's meant to be testing. That's what we're doing. I think what we're going to see is probably two of the bigger things are going to be, well, how much are builders gain?
Oh no!
Oh.
His interwebs! No! No! Okay, I give you a few more
After
no's.
that becomes a true phantom.
His internet has officially died.
Right. Don't tell me we're only gonna have 3. Oh, it's down to 3.
Oh!
So, to keep this going, Babycannon, you talk about achievements being a huge positive addition to the game, and does that come from your background being so community focused, or what? I know a lot of people are excited about achievements, and I don't know why. To me, I like playing games.
I'm a little bit psychotic about making sure all of my sets are full. And so achievements gives me a checklist of things that I must complete. Otherwise, I'm going to go a little nutty about it.
Okay.
It's really just that simple. It's kind of I already know that I need to find all of the ley lines as soon as possible. Otherwise, it's going to keep me up at night bothering me.
I liked it as a things to do primer. So you're max level in World of Warcraft, and it's not raid night, and you don't really need to do any dungeon grinding, but for some reason you're logged in. Oh, I've got this. Oh, well, I guess I could go work on killing critters in Ungoro Crater. I know I didn't get that one. I think there could be benefit to that. Nero, what's your take on achievements and how they'll...
Well, for more of a horizontal progression, I think it works a lot better than something with a traditional vertical. If it's something where you've got level ups and that's where most of your stuff is coming from, and then there's achievements that maybe they're nagging at you because they're minimal stats, or maybe they're not even stat related and they're just there as things to do. I mean, it's kind of fun to have them, but I would say in something where we've got more of a horizontal progression, it works a lot better because the achievements can be a lot more meaningful and based on the things that you're actually doing, rather than based on just this task list of things. It sometimes I like it if it's maybe not necessarily revealed immediately, so initially you don't even know what all the achievements are, and they might even like change a little bit. Like maybe after a month, the requirements to complete that achievement double, or maybe they get cut in half or something. So there's no surefire way of knowing this is the formula to get these attributes for doing these things. But beyond that, I actually kind of think DCUO is a good example. I know I keep on bringing up Vindictus, and I brought that up on live feature rant, but DCUO is another example I like, because that's your achievements are how you get your skill points. Now, skill points don't really make you more like that much more powerful. You get a little bit more attributes and stuff. It's like I think you have to get 72 skill points or something to have all the attributes, or maybe that's what it was at the last time I played, or something like that. And so the only way you get those skill points is through achievements. Some of them are things that are achievements done just by playing the game, doing the quest, not even doing the quest, and just going through the game and doing things. And some of them are very specific things, but they're very simple and engaging, like the stuff with Booster Gold, where you have to go around and tour all the different locations. You get a little experience, you get a little trinket, and you get progress towards the skills towards getting more skill points. So it all came together in a way that it was really to your benefit, whether you needed more loot, more cash, more experience, or just wanted to see the world and experience the game and know that you've got a chance to see everything, that you can go and do all of those tours. And that was just one of the many things. There were a lot of collectibles and a lot of things that had little bits of story, little news reports from Lois Lane here and there. Again, collecting all of those in each of the different zones would have different stuff to them. So there was a lot of stuff, little minutia that if you paid attention, or you care enough, or at some point you do care enough, you're already halfway there with it because you already got half the things. So it's something where it's a really nice way to engage players in the world beyond errand running, or whooping butts in a specific region for a specific amount of time, or something even more arbitrary.
Yeah, and another game that has a good achievement-like system, I think they call them quests, is in Ingress, the Android game that tied to Google Maps. So, like here where I live in Roanoke, there's an achievement system for visiting different parts of the city, and finding out information like in the real world about and entering it in, so it gets people out and going and gives something else. And those are all user generated achievement systems. Now, I think Landmark is a perfect place to have user generated achievements, where the achievement system could, and this is while I have no idea if it's planned, or it could be planned and no one's even asked and we don't know, but to be able to upload our own achievements. Say a guild has claims on 8 different islands, all with similar concepts and similar architecture, that they could upload an achievement, or even temporarily, even seasonal achievements that only exist then. I think that would be a pretty cool addition to a traditional achievement system.
Can I finish what I was saying before I exited?
Yes.
The problems I see with going forward that we're going to run into are twofold. One is exactly how gated our builder is going to be to the materials they need to build. And if that's a big issue, and if we're immediately a need to rely on other people to go down and kill things, are there going to be enough people that are going to want to do that? Because right now we just have builders. Who actually is going to come back and spend the time to go down there and do that? And again, it's testing. So, I mean, things are going to break, things are not going to work. I don't know.
I don't know if it's exactly how they're going to go with it, but I think what they're planning to do is that for builders, you get a multiplier for, the voxel versus the build version, that you bring back 10 stone, and you can refine that into 100 or 1,000 or whatever the scale is of refined stone, and then you're using refined stone for all of your building, even if raw stone is the material that you're putting down and working with. So the idea with that is that it would be a lot less effort on the part of the builder to get the material, because they'd only have to get like 1/10 or even 100th or whatever of the material that they're actually going to be building with. If what we're considering, refined gold for the purpose of building is like gold that's like gold leaf on plaster or something, it'll look like gold. The whole way through. I guess it's unless you bash through it, you wouldn't see the plaster on the inside, whatever. But the idea is that it has that look, but it doesn't have the the volume and the quality and the magic properties of the crafting version of the material. It's just there for aesthetics. Therefore, you get that much more of it because you're not using it for crafting, you're using it for building. Am I making sense or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that Dave talked about in our interview, right? That the base building materials and the refining into building materials is going to have a much larger output than what we're used to. I think we do know. Uh, I don't think that immediately we're going to see a huge, oh no, I don't have materials anymore problem. Uh, there are a lot of materials floating out. Now, after a wipe, which will be after features are a little bit more fleshed out, hopefully the system will be balanced in a way that isn't a terrible gate. One of the things that Babycannon and I were talking about in chat today for a long time was that thinking about the point of view from the development process. So, as we add more and more features to the game, what is what are the fundamentals? Like you could say I want world permanence was one of the examples we talked about. I want when I mine for that part of the land to be gone forever. That could be a point of view for developing features around it. So as more and more features get added to Landmark with this wonderful voxel world and great building engine and smart people working on AI and potential combat systems coming in, what where do we need where is that point of view other than wanting to have a successful free to play model? And that's where I think I think this is why the question of what is Landmark still comes up. That we know what Landmark is, but we don't know what Landmark really is. We understand that it's not EverQuest Next. We understand like a lot of the things that Landmark are, but from a perspective of what is the end user of the finished Landmark product expected to do as a player? What are those fundamentals that this is what is wanted out of a game that are still a little bit unclear? And I think that's the core of the question of what is Landmark. That's not what they're really asking. It's what does Landmark mean, or what is Landmark about? You hear this in the forums over and over again. That's the response everyone gives. Someone complains about something, and the next one is, well, that's not what Landmark's about. Well, what the hell is Landmark about? I think that as the features get more fleshed out, we'll have more insight into what what are the givens, and what is Landmark about. And I think I'm hoping that it ends up being kind of like Terraria and Korea and some of the things Neurotoxin said. I'm rambling now. I'm supposed to be prompting other people to talk. Phantom X, your thought about that, like what is Landmark about as a complete speculation, and what if you were to pick a point of view that every development choice from then on would come from, whether it's realistic or not. What would that point of view be?
I honestly don't know. I actually was thinking this exact thing right as you started talking about it. I don't know what this game really is. What is the motivation? I think the developers have a general idea, but I think they're kind of figuring that out as they go too. Well, what works, what doesn't? What exactly do we want to focus on? Is it going to take off as a building game? Is it going to take off as a true fighting, RPG? I don't think they know. I don't think they know where the interest lies. I'm sure they hope that all of this takes off, that it's an actual sandbox. You get in there and you do whatever the hell you want to do. But I don't know that they know. And I honestly don't know how players will respond to something if that's all it is. If there's no real objective other than satisfy whatever you want to do. I think that would be actually a huge shock to most people. And I don't know that that's necessarily where they want to go. I know that's what we all want. We always talk about, well, I want a true sandbox where I can log in and do whatever I want to do. I don't think in the long run people understand. I don't think they would stay focused long enough without having some sort of objective. As far as where I see it turning into more of a traditional MMO. I could be wrong, but I see it going that way. I think they're going to they've had a fair run at, I guess we haven't entered open beta, but to get a gauge of interest of how many people want it as a building game, they've had a while now to sort of feel that out. Now, maybe you get more, I'm sure you get more with open beta when you don't have to pay, but I'm not, I see it turning into probably more of a, traditional MMO with just some building features that are great. They're great tools. I don't know. I don't have a good answer because I don't know what it is. I don't know what to expect from them, and we don't have a good idea. We have a roadmap. We don't know what their ultimate goal is. We know what features they want, but how they're going to implement all those and how they will all interact. So much of this has just never been done. I don't know if you can actually say until it's just all there.
Babycannon wants to talk here. I can see that face. She wants to talk. Let's hear it.
I think Dave and Terry and all the other big brains over at SOE have this final vision in their mind where they've given us, or they're trying to create this world in which we can make and build and design these amazing dungeons and instances, and how we actually get there, they don't care. Like, they'll give us all the tools that we say we need to get there, but how it actually, and even if it actually transforms into that and grows into that, that's not their concern. What they have their end game in mind, and whatever we, the players and the community, make of that is what becomes of the game. And therefore, I feel that question can't be answered until EverQuest Next divorces itself from Landmark, and Landmark is allowed to become its own game.
Do you think that the decisions just haven't been made? Because this is something we tossed around a little bit earlier, and Phantom X mentioned. Like, do you think that, like, there's this potentially it was meant to be a very agile product? Like, well, we'll see what people want, and then we'll cater to that. And then this attempt to potentially, we had 6 to 8 months of we're going to do everything we can to satisfy building because there are 1,000 people watching people build on Twitch every single day at any time. There is more YouTube content and forum talk about building and building techniques than there is for all of your other games combined going on, right? Do you think that they were taking it by the horns and said, we're going to make a building game?
No. I think they're actively trying not to make decisions like that. I think building was the first tool that they had to put in to separate it from some generic unbuilt RPG. I think that over the course of time, over the course of the development process up until now, it has been easier and less time-consuming to add value to the product by adding to the building process, rather than they're creating so many of these systems out of thin air with no history, no safety net, no nothing. It's taking a lot of work. It's taking a lot of time. And they have a lot of cases where they fail and they have to scrap things and then just rebuild it from scratch all over again. It's easier and it's better value to add to the building right now. That's all changing this week, hopefully.
All right, Neuro, what do you have to say about this?
Well, I think Jeff Butler and I agree, and we've talked about it multiple times throughout the year, that we really want to see Landmark be a game creation space. Now, whether that is something that, it's the Forge Light engine version of Project Spark, or if it's a completely different sort of thing, time is yet to tell, but that's the thing that I'm really excited for with it, is the idea that we can not only be creating games in Landmark with it, but they've said if we get the games at a good enough state that maybe it just needs a little more polish and a little extra support, and it can be a game of its own, and people are playing it and would play it as its own independent game, that they would potentially give the support to help people actually turn the content they've created into essentially a Sony game running in Landmark. Or potentially even outside of Landmark if it's that amazing. Who knows? But they've said that they want to support the players and support their ability to not only keep the game going and keep adding content, but from what I understand, they also want to help support us in our features to monetize it, to actually turn it into something that could be a real job for people. That they're basically, their job is managing and monitoring and working on their game in Landmark, that they get a real paycheck from because people play it and spend money on it or whatever. But whether or not it goes that route, or if it stays more just in Landmark, just player projects for fun, I see it as being a great place for people, various different skill levels, to come in and kind of play with the building, play with some of the content creation stuff. Aspiring level designers and game developers can use it as a test bed to kind of hash out some of their ideas. Instead of being limited to RPG Maker, for example, to make your games, you could make your game in Landmark. And if we have the same kind of feature set, or at least similar features and tweaking and stuff, but I think a lot of that stuff, unfortunately, as we've been saying, is stuff that's going to happen way later, once there's been the full break, the full divorce from Landmark from EverQuest Next, and they are two wholly divergent products aside from using Landmark to continue building things that may be going into EverQuest Next for the competitions. So and that could be 2 years from now, and I'm fine with that.
Is an MMO development framework for anything any more than a social experiment? It is. See, that to me, it's interesting. It's a fun social experiment to throw people in and let them completely change the world and see what that world turns into. Like, what if you couldn't just make tools with your hands and tools that made other tools, like we can as real people, but we could actually manipulate the world like we can with voxel editor and see what a world turns into? That's an interesting experiment, but can Landmark ever be a realistic development framework as an MMO? And I don't think it can. Unless we're talking about instances. Instances or private islands, things like that, because you need to be able to manipulate more than what has traditionally, or I can envision in my limited scope, offering to an MMO environment. Is being an MMO what will eventually hold Landmark back from being a true development platform? Phantom X, go.
Well, no, that's the two issues. Can you be both? I mean, it's two completely different populations. If you're going to be completely developmental versus an actual MMO, I think you have two very different groups of people, two very different sizes of groups of people. What is your actual business plan here? That's why it is an interesting social experiment. How do you get all of these components? Because I don't think there's not going to be a large amount of people that can just create an entire game on their own. That just won't happen. And that's again goes down to, I don't know what their goal is for this. Is it to be developmental, or is it actually to be a game that people come in and play? I know that it goes back to, well, you'll play what other people create. Okay, well, how many people are actually going to create fully functional instances or games? I mean, I hope it turns into that. I still have a hard time seeing it, and
You know,
if
it.
I agree, Neuro. It's probably a couple years away. I agree. Babycannon has to be separate from Next. That has to happen. Really, until that happens, we don't know. If you can't tell, I'm the pessimistic one here. I just, it's a cool idea. I just don't know how well it's actually going to turn out, because it's never been really done before. Maybe that's why I'm pessimistic, but I don't see how you can be both. That's my only thing.
You know what it is? It's going to be a giant MMO carnival. You know, think of like the town carnival or whatever. There's all the various vendors and their theme park rides, and you know that sort of stuff that they've got. You know, the pukey loop of death, the back and forth ramp of death of puking, and the spinny thing of puking and death, and you know all the horrible like puking and like, you know, things that seem more dangerous than they need to be for the sake of fun that they have in those things. Actually, no, Disneyland. Actually, you know, when just a little aside, one of my buddies who worked at In-N-Out, they had this thing where the top stores got to go have Six Flags open at night with like Viper X and a couple other rides open, and free food and free churros everywhere. So I would get on Viper, just ride it out maybe 2 or 3 times. Like, all right, every time I would go up towards the loop, I would smell those churros. So it's like after 2 or 3 rides, I'd get another churro, eat it, and then go back on for another 2 or 3 rides of Viper. It was so much fun. But the idea that everybody's going to be creating their fun thing to do in this space that people are able to find their way to, it's just that there's no necessarily ticket to admission. If you want to join, if you want to participate in this, you know, MMO carnival, just come in, just log in, find where the stuff's at, and have a blast.
Okay, this is an example of a point of view. Now, from that point of view, of where what we want the game to be, what we're talking about here, then there are people that really want the open world experience. Now, if it's really just about that if what Landmark is about is that carnival, what is the open world experience like? Was that Heroes Season 4 that was terrible, where this like magic carnival appears out of nowhere? I don't know if you guys ever watched Heroes, but there was like a magic carnival. But if it's really about making that carnival where the whole bunch of standalone user-generated things, is the open world really just a tech test? Is it? And I'm going to say, and I haven't said this, I've been very much against that, but if it's just a tech test, I'm okay with that.
It's a place for adventure. That's what it is that it's a place for adventure. The caverns, going out into more wildernessy areas where there aren't claims, that's fun. When they eventually get islands and stuff in, I think that was going to be a later feature they've talked about. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's some awesome stuff. But you know, and I think that there's probably going to be, if ever, it's going to be a long time before we're building, you know, meaningful content that we have full control over underground. I think it's going to be a lot more like the team up stuff, that content is what we end up getting underground. But I guess it's that exploration will still be there, and there might actually be builds that are designed for exploration, that it's one build just out in the wilderness that you can, you know, maybe teleport to or whatever, and know that, okay, everywhere else on this island is pretty much barren. It's a wasteland out there. Good luck. And, you know, it might just be limited claims on that server, or who knows what the reason is.
It's a cool theory. I mean, it's a cool experiment. I just still have a hard time seeing players in MMOs especially churn through content so fast. You know, you have teams of developers on WoW, and they put out a year of development on an expansion, and within a couple of weeks, people are getting through it. are there going to be enough people creating content to satisfy the layperson's interest in actually logging in?
Uh,
That's where I
here,
hope, but I don't.
I think there'll be plenty of content. I think a lot of it's just really gonna suck.
That's what I mean. Good content.
Thank
Something
you.
that I want to.
well, I think like StarCraft or Warcraft 3 or Neverwinter Nights 1 and 2, a lot of the user-generated content, there was a lot of good stuff, there was a lot of bad stuff, there might have been a lot more bad stuff than good stuff, but there was always way more content than the developers could possibly have been making, and it was coming out at such a rate that, initially there was no chance you could have been able to play everything because there was more awesome stuff coming out that quickly. So there will be crap, there will be good stuff. Hopefully the good stuff will be recognized, and the stuff that's not good, the people will be able to learn from what is good and getting feedback and tours on content and creations and such, and be able to improve on it.
I'll be interested to see whether crap gets by with a pretty fresh paint of coat because of certain big names promoting it. Whether I mean, there was at least one build in the last contest that, compared to the others, was just not up to standards, and it got through because the person had a big name. And it'll be interesting to see if players continue to do stuff like that when it is in our hands, when it is up to us to go out to individual claims or individual builds and play with the content created there, whether it's still going to be social media driven or whether it's going to be based on its merits.
Landmark can never, I say never because the fight against it will be so hard that I don't think it will win. But Landmark will never get away from its root as a highly social media driven experience. It's done. The decision's made. It's already it grows. There's probably more chatter about Landmark from people who aren't even playing the game that day on Twitter than there are people logging in. There are probably more people favoriting or retweeting or sending out a message. And my phone beeps all the time, and I don't send out that many initial original tweets. It's all Landmark stuff. We're involved in a game that takes full advantage of social media outlets and will continue to do so. Now, are you saying that that's a bad thing? When I first started playing Landmark, and I hadn't embraced it yet, and I'd never really been a part of that, I'd never experienced it, I was unsure. I'm like, well, why does so much happen outside the game? Why do I have to sign up for Twitter to be involved in this? Why do I need to do all these things? And there's still a large group of people who say, bring it all into the game. That if it's not happening on the official forums or it's not happening in the game, it shouldn't be relevant. But that's not how Landmark is. And I don't think that you can turn back from it. So is that wrong, or is that just the way of the future? Is that just the way everything's going to be from now on? That it's a waste of developer resources. It's a waste of the development company's resources to manage their own systems for that. And if they can take advantage of people talking about them openly on the internet elsewhere, where the content is managed by somebody else as a free service, like H1Z1 doesn't have a forum, they just use Reddit. I don't even really know how to use Reddit.
I think you're supposed to click the down arrow on things that you don't like is how it works. That's how most people use it.
We search for legendary neurotoxin and click the down arrow. Now
That seems
think
like
it's
pretty
smart.
conventional Reddit usage.
And don't say anything
Market.
bad about any gaming companies or gaming media, because they'll just have the comments deleted
Phantom
by the
X.
tens of thousands.
I just think it's smart. Sony
Yeah.
has never been one to have a huge marketing budget. They're not going to fly in Metallica to come play at SOE Live, and they just don't. And if you can utilize, as you said, a free service to get people word of mouth, people sharing things, sharing experiences, screenshots, and it doesn't cost you a dime, it makes sense to sort of integrate it. And that's why Saga, I agree, I don't think it will ever go away. It's
Well,
just, it can be a double-edged sword, because if something goes wrong, people are going to talk about that just as much. But ultimately it's free advertising.
Metallica is not
the free
singing the Fippy Darkpaw song.
the free marketing is one thing, because of course every company is always going to take any free marketing they can get, but it's also Facebook and Twitter and Reddit and Instagram and all these social media sites are so ingrained into our all day everyday life that even when we're outside of the game and outside of the zone where we're playing, when we're sitting at work, I don't know, having lunch or, talking to a really boring client, and you check your phone under the desk, you're going to be brought back into the game for just a moment, which is going to keep it on your mind that much more and get you back into the game as soon as you get home. So it's super important in that sense. However, I feel it's also very important to bring all of that information back home into the game forums or into the game somehow. So those people who don't want to be on 16 different social media sites following 300 developers on each of those sites, or 300 personalities on each of those sites, can still get all of their information. Like when forums blowing up with people screaming, this is the one that really struck a chord with me, people screaming about the changing key bindings. And this went on, like all of the yelling and shouting and, oh my God, you ruined the game and blah, blah, blah. It all could have been taken care of like a day earlier if Dave had posted in forums really quickly, oh, I just tweeted this, and posted a link to his tweet where he said, we hate it too, we're changing it back. But information never got into forums for another 24 hours. So a whole bunch more pissed off people for no reason other than they're.
So
Yeah, they
your
might be
concern
relying on
is
other people to post it. I don't know.
so your concern is information aggregation, and we do run into this problem with Landmark a lot. And I started working on a system to help with that, but I hate data entry, so I'm not doing much with it. But I did build a database for information and access tools for adding and accessing that material. It is available online. I just really don't want to spend my day transcribing things. But yeah, I agree that data or information aggregation is an opportunity for Landmark. There are too many outlets, and it's hard to bring everything together. Neurotoxin and Diggs is by far the best at finding ways to really catch. Like he's got these big fishing nets out on the internet. He's like, I caught it, I got it.
I give big
I
gold
am the
stars
only
to Diggs.
person.
He's awesome.
Diggs
I'm the
is
only person
amazing.
who knows everything.
Diggs is so awesome they had to ban him for it one time.
But
The other
I mean,
cool
this
thing with
is
social media, I would just say the other cool thing with using it like they do. I mean, back when EverQuest started, how many people actually got to talk to Brad McQuaid daily? They didn't. I didn't. And now that's possible. I mean, that's the other thing. I agree. Can getting all of the information in one place is essential, and that's just not done very well. Relying only on that, but I don't know. That's just another thing that pops into my head as far as why it will never go away, unless they get so pissed off at us bugging them they decide to no longer post. But
see, for me, and this actually, this is directed at Neuro, who's going to be who's taking over a CM position, be reworked for the age of social media marketing. we have community managers that are almost non-existent in the community, whether it's forums or in chat. I didn't know that Landmark had game masters until I emailed support. That's not a game master if they're never in the game. That's a support. They're doing customer support and customer service. Yes, but if you're not in the game, you're not a game master. If you're not in the community, you're not a community master. I think the whole thing needs to have new titles. I guarantee you that Tiffany Amneris is running around like a chicken with her head cut off right now. She's probably working on 16 different, massive ad blitzes and, partnerships with different sites. And with this patch coming in, they probably have her painting stupid shrubs all over the caves and plants and stuff like that. And like all hands on deck. She probably doesn't even have a second to breathe any more than any of like the coders do. This week aside, or like this patch time aside, our community managers need to actually interact with the community if we're going to continue to call them community managers. Otherwise, they need to be redesignated into marketing or PR.
Yeah.
Just like master of hype.
See, that's the thing. Every position at every company is never that specific to what you're actually doing. A QA tester, a producer.
You do what you gotta do.
It's not only that. It's that what's actually expected of you, what you're actually doing. Either it might not be fully defined, or it might be that you have this primary expectation, but then all these other things that you're expected to do to support it or along with it, or when there's downtime for the one task, you have to do this other task. There's a lot of interesting stuff with that. Right now, it's kind of a weird thing because I've got a split role. I am community and QA. And right now, to be honest, the QA side of things has been needing a lot more attention. So while I've been working on improving the community focus with things, and we've just redone all the art across all of our websites, we're still kind of at the point where trying to engage the community is a little tough right now because the game is still in kind of a rough state, and it's hard to. I basically don't want to pull a Landmark and do this big push to get a bunch of people in, only for them to leave over 3 months because stuff isn't coming in at the rate that they're expecting. So
Don't overhype, but jump in the water, get your feet wet, interact with your community one-on-one, whether it's in chat or in the forum.
Oh yeah, no, we got some folks. That's kind of the interesting thing. We actually have some folks that are really dedicated who have built some amazing things. Had someone just do a YouTube review recently, and it was super excited, a Minecrafter. So yeah, we definitely have a lot of that stuff going on. Keep in mind, I just jumped into this position 3 weeks ago, so I'm still getting used to the company and all of their processes. Most of this week was me actually managing the Jira database, the issue management and tracking stuff, and that was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot from that. But that's a long ways off from the community stuff.
But you do what you got to do.
Oh yeah, and I enjoy it.
I lost our track a little bit of.
Sorry, I do that.
We have guests because we want to be able to focus on things that guests care about. One of the things that I said earlier that really gave you that reaction was anything that involves limiting what a player can do, right? Telling people how to play the game. So when we're in a game where we have some ideas of what it's all about, then how do we make decisions to make the game really a game and not just a development framework? So really a game without telling people how they're supposed to play.
Are you asking me?
Never talk to me in chat before the show if you don't want me to really pick on you.
I said it earlier tonight. I think Sony is actively not making these decisions yet. I think they have their end game in mind. and they are not making any decisions that they don't absolutely have to make before we get to the divorce point.
So their idea is to drag out. So they want to drag out ambiguity as long as possible. I mean, that's not a terrible marketing idea. That's actually a pretty good marketing idea. But
I think it's the best way to go.
It sounds accusatory, but it's really a good idea.
Well, no. The reason why it works so well is it's like a crappy TV series where they get past the pilot and it's like, well, crap, we didn't expect to get past the pilots. We got to make up the rest of it all of a sudden. They have that freedom that they're at no point tied to a specific thing, that they always have the flexibility to do something different or change the direction. And apparently, week to week, that happens. What they decide on, what they're going to do, can potentially be changing.
Yeah, I agree. I think they have an idea. They're not going to say it's the same as if they mention a release date and you don't hit it, people stick to it. And I think part of that's because they don't know what people will like. I think part of this was a test. People like Minecraft. Let's do building first. And they gave us very early tools, and I don't think it was as successful as they wanted. So I don't think they'll ever tell us exactly their plans for times and ultimate goals, because it isn't set in stone and it can change.
As a development framework, there's a whole lot of potential to a landmark-based system. I've said that from the beginning. I think that that's what they were building for themselves. They were building a development framework and went, you know what, this is actually fun to do. It's not like programming Unity all the time. It's not like developing a Unity game or using RPG Maker. It's like they're putting together a development framework for their own game and having fun doing it, and be like, well, I'll bet people have fun doing this. And then they go, well, then how do we actually make them have fun doing it? What's okay and what's not? How do we approach this? I think the approach is a convoluted, but I think that's where the idea originated. Well, our development framework is fun. Who's ever said that before? I never said that before. You ever said that before? No, we never said that before. So why don't we tell people it's fun? It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it is.
Because you say so.
Well, I live my life from the perspective that my own experiences and like the way things affect me are truth, and whether or not that's true for you or not is irrelevant. So like, if it's fun, like it really is fun, because everything about my own experience says it's fun. I don't have an experience saying it's not fun. So therefore, for me, it is. And if it's not for you, well, it sucks to be you.
I had that
Did
experience.
I just say
I guess kind of going back to what they had initially said at SOE Live 2013 is that they were in the process of making EverQuest Next, and they realized, well, gosh, the tools that we're going to be using to make the game, why don't we just make those available to the players? And when I think about that, I think about like, well, would they really have been in the game building with all the tools that we have, and needing to use admin controls to fly around, or whatever? Is that really how they were actually going to be building the content for EverQuest Next, or was there some other method? Because I could understand maybe having more of a direct in the world interface is a little bit more intuitive in some ways, or makes it a little bit easier to get everybody at the studio working on building stuff instead of just the artists. Dave is he's a big time builder. I'm sure he builds stuff that's just as amazing as what we would see from some of the artists on the project. Possibly even more. Who knows? Maybe the artists are like, man, I work on models all day. I don't have time for this voxel building stuff. And they don't even get into it. I remember Omid never really got into building. He just didn't wasn't a builder. He's not a builder type, so it just didn't appeal to him, and he never really got into it. There's other people that I'm sure that's the same way. So it's kind of a weird thing. It's on one hand they're making a tool. It sounds like they were trying to make a tool that was intuitive to work with and kind of fun, but at the same time that they decided, well, instead of just making this for us that we can still just, dev cheat the heck out of it and do whatever we need to, we'll make it something that players can join us with, and they can also make the content, because there's, thousands to one, players to developers that will be making content, and even if it isn't all good, we'll have ways to potentially get the good stuff or some of the good stuff to rise to the top, and we'll be able to work with that.
Sorry, I'm responding to something in chat.
I was distracted by the comments about Gio's hair. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Nora, that makes sense. Business-wise, these are all things that they have to do for Next anyways. The animations, the character models, the setting. Why not create something that you're going to get some money out of? Who knows how much, but you're going to get something, and it might spark into something even bigger that becomes bigger than Next. I mean, it makes sense. You're developing it anyways. The downside is being so open, but it makes sense from the start. It makes you wonder why other people haven't done it, other than to hide their own secrets and their plans and that sort of stuff. But these are all things they have to create anyways. So it makes sense to make it some sort of business model that potentially could grow bigger than what they were originally planning for Next. I still don't think it necessarily will, but I'm pessimistic on that. So, but they made some money out of it. So, I mean, and it still builds hype for Next too.
We don't know. We won't know for a long time if offering Landmark as a pay to enter was a profitable endeavor. They got some revenue for now, yes. We do know that much. They got $100 from me, and I don't regret it. I would say absolutely if I did. I could list off a whole bunch of games that I regret spending even a penny on, and Landmark is not one of them. So we got 25 minutes left, and then we don't have a lot of questions from chat. So I would love to hear a little bit more weighing in from chat. I'd love to get another perspective so that we can continue this conversation a little more. Babycannon, as you're the guest, is there one of the things that you've mentioned tonight, and I know that you've talked about in chat, and I know that you talk about in Landmark Live, is the builderarchy mentality of Landmark, of the active effort of the development team to create celebrities is something that really bothers you, and I can see why. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding. I would like to.
I know that it comes across that way. I know that it comes across that way. I had a really big issue with how the insider program was dealt with, and there were other things that were done at that time which I see as being tied into the insider program. I'm going to walk really, really carefully and not call out any names or be horrible against any individuals. There were some things that were done in the name of promoting the game and getting the name Landmark and the image of the game out there that were very off-putting to not just the general public, but even to people who actually actively played the game. I do think the insider program or something like it is very important. And actually, I kind of wanted to ask you guys, I think at some point, all of you were insiders, and this goes out to Gio and Velix who are hiding in chat also, and any other insiders that are hiding in there. What has been your impression of the transition to player, I think it's player direct? And have they contacted you? Have they done anything for you? Have they helped you promote their game?
I don't
How,
think
like, how are you feeling?
I don't think the
Active
promotion phase is done yet, or started yet rather.
Active conversation that we've had has been about me attempting to get listed as a user on Player Direct, and the amount of ridiculous hoops that they're making me jump through, and the fact that their emails don't work. So like they send you replies from do not reply email addresses, that I have this whole long list of things where they keep asking me for the same information where I'm sending it right back to them, and the whole system is just a mess. I think
For what it's worth, I think it's going to Dexella, so you could probably send it directly to her.
Well, I do have her email, but the emails I got were not from her. They were actually from the same person who was had taken over the Landmark Insider program. But it got bounced around because they're using communal emails, and it's going to multiple people at multiple times. And it's this idea of wanting to be able to promote specific content instead of promoting individuals who are producing content. So, like, if I were to write an editorial, and I talked about getting Theory Forge as a group listed, I talked to them about that, and they don't have, their model isn't fitting how people are really producing content. And if focusing on individuals who create content and helping them to promote it, and whitelisting or blacklisting them from based on, at least being constructive, they shouldn't be silencing criticism. But the system is, no, they want you, it's about you building marketing material for them. That's what Player Direct is. That's what they want. That's my complete take on it from my back and forth. It's not about promoting content creation. It's about, like, if you want to be a professional marketer for SOE, yet you don't want to get paid, and you want no chance of ever getting anything out of it or any help from us other than being posted on this website called Player Direct, sign up.
Well, how is that really any different from the Insider program, except for the fact that with the Insider program, they bribed you guys with codes?
It wasn't what they did was, the big thing, and this is something I talked to the local Children's Miracle Network hospital about with Extra Life. Like, I had real meetings, like, talking about marketing so that they could do better fundraising. And I believe that taking individuals and helping to promote the point of sale, per se, is better than promoting an individual product. So I would say, for example, Tisachka was nice enough to support my local hospital for Extra Life,
It's really cool.
and raised like $2,500 or something like that. So I talked to them, and I said, and I showed them in a meeting that she's got 100 or 200 or 300 people watching her play video games every single day. So why don't you promote that? Promote the source, promote the point of sale. But instead, they were taking it from a different direction. Now, promoting the point of sale keeps people engaged. So if we say Dizzy Disaster was one of the biggest draws to Landmark as an individual. Geek Domo as well. These people, and not those of us who gained a small amount of notoriety through Landmark, but some of these people through being actively promoted individually by SOE. Lukeland Minecraft WB, another one. These
Yeah.
guys, their active promotion of the individual and taking people to a content source and becoming part of something else was highly effective at building an ongoing, a vibrant community. Now, if an aggregation of Landmark content hosted on one website, that's not better than a Google search. I ranted for quite a while. Thank you for bringing that up.
I actually have a dynamically different experience with Player Direct so far. I sent one email, got a response, sent another email, got a response, and another follow up response to address it. And basically, from what I understand, when things are all in full swing, the YouTube playlists for Live Feature Rant, for Dead Feature Rant, for content and creations, and if I'm not mistaken as well, for Theory Forge, will all be supported through Player Direct, as well as still being flagged for the whitelist for Landmark, which I already was as a part of the Insider program. As for H1Z1 and EverQuest Next, they said because they are not supporting those games quite yet for Player Direct, they aren't able to do anything for me, but I would wager that is going to change for H1Z1. The Dead Feature Rant will be, that playlist as well as the, considerations for the show and being whitelisted for the H1Z1 website when they eventually get that going will definitely be considerations for it. So I feel like I had a really easy, sent the email explaining what I wanted to get submitted, and it went in really easily. Of course, all I'm looking at is promotion for the channel for the different shows that I do, and promotion for the playlists for the YouTube videos of the shows that I do, as well as this show here. So that's it. It was a much quicker experience for me, and it was basically painless.
Real quick for me, from a fan site owner perspective, unless I am creating articles that are most likely beneficial to the game, I'm not going to be a part of it. The Insider program was a lot different. I was a fan site, so I could give away codes, but now it actually requires, which it probably should require, creation of something, videos, content of some sort. But I'm not saying it shouldn't, but for me, that has to be done in order to be a part of it. So, and even then, it's not like Nexus would be a part of Player Studio. I'd have to submit. I believe that's how it works, right? I'd have to submit each thing.
That's what I was told. I was told that you have to submit each thing individually. Now, for a stream, I think they're being a little bit more open about that by saying, like, as long as every day, every week at this time on this day, you are always streaming this SOE product. But they're pretty demanding on what that is. Neurotoxin just happens to meet all of their criteria for it naturally. They stopped replying to me. I'm actually not. I am very not happy. But like, Phantom X runs as part of a team, runs a very successful fan site that has been able to do some good co-marketing events through code giveaways in the past, and even been able to sponsor some contests within Landmark to give away items from other sponsorships, and done some other neat things that they rely on these sponsorships for, not spending a fortune marketing their own website, which is a marketing outlet for someone else. I think that reciprocation is important. And that leads into a question that Poro asked, like, do you think that setting up a program to get people to create marketing content for your game with no apparent benefit to the contributor is unethical, or even even fair game? Is doing that, is soliciting that without offering a valid reciprocal promotion even ethical?
Yes, because they don't tell you
Again,
you're going to get something. You go into it knowing you're not getting anything other than having whatever you did posted to a site where other people can see it. If they had said, "Oh, we're going to shower you with rewards," and then they don't, then that's different. But I think when you're going into it knowing you don't get anything other than letting your opinion be heard to more people, I don't see it as an issue. If it's an issue personally within individuals, then you just don't do it.
so Babycannon, you asked the question about the transition, and we had real experiences and real opinions. From your perspective, hey, what do you think?
From my perspective, it's just entirely disappeared. I haven't seen, from where I sit, I have not seen any SOE support of any of you who have spent months and months of your time advertising and supporting their game.
We've
I
had.
was just, I was curious as to what happened.
Let me interrupt here that we had Dave Georgeson and Steve Denuser take time out of their week to come and be on the show with us. And
I'm not talking about that.
I agree for lots of people, they have been lacking on things, but we have been fortunate to have had direct attention and help that we're very, very thankful.
That's because you guys are like the awesomest ever.
But at the same time, I mean, I've been doing live feature rant since before the first Landmark Live, and I haven't been able to get a developer on. Not once. So I definitely do agree with you. They have a little bit of a disconnect with the outreach. I would say the H1Z1 team has been a lot more upfront and forward and open about coming on. After talking to him at the Game 24 event in September, Greg Henniger told me, he's like, yeah, I'm going to tell them I'm going to be on your show because I'm the community manager and I can just do that. And then we had the episode with not one, not two, like I thought, but 8 of the team on there. I've more or less got an open invitation from Steve George from Sony Shock to go down to the SOE office whenever. So I just got to work that out and do that sometime here. So it's been almost night and day on.
Sure.
Honestly, the complete difference with the Landmark sort of things. I put a lot of effort into that. I do 6 hours of Landmark content every week. Sometimes the devs will drop in every now and then. Dave came and saw a couple of content and creations. Castles and Crap Shacks, actually. It wasn't even content and creations at that point. But Rosie didn't even know that the show existed when I talked to her at SOE Live. So, it's one of those things where I feel like maybe it's just that they're so involved with developing the game that they really don't get a chance to kind of look around and see what's out there all the time. While maybe because of the avenues that they use for communication, or maybe just because they have a different focus, the H1Z1 team has been a lot more open and a lot more engaging to the users, to the community. I saw Tom Shank was not Prison Shank. Tom Slick, I believe, is the Twitter handle for him. He Cycles McHurts. That's the guy. He was hanging around for A1P1. That's the Australian podcast. It's at like 2 or 3 a.m. I was just on it last weekend. It was a lot of fun. But he'll hang out for the chat for that, and I bet he'd probably be on for someone will be on for an episode at some point. So it's been kind of an interesting thing, the outreach. But kind of going back to the subject of player direct a little bit, I feel like it definitely feels like we just haven't gotten enough information on what they're really trying to do with it, what the actual motive is, what the motivation, what they're trying to do to really excite and engage and entice us. And it might be a sort of thing that when they do their first major round of like, here's all of the people that we're supporting with Player Direct, and also go to them to get all of these exclusive bonus codes. We don't know right now if they're going to do a bonus code thing or not. It sounds like they're not, but that's something that's totally, up in the air. So it's really hard to say what exactly they're going to be doing with all of that sort of stuff, with the outreach and with the player direct going forward.
Yeah, we have
You're really
as
quick.
we're running out of.
Neuro, you're
Sorry.
talking about devs, and Velix is saying it in chat too. And you're talking about devs. Where's the freaking community staff? Where's the community team?
Well, like I
Like,
said,
it's
Greg
great to
Henniger,
have
I got.
devs on chat shows like this, but where's the community team interacting with their community? They say that Twitch and streamers and these fan sites are the priority. Where's the freaking community staff then?
Yeah, SOE Legion, he definitely came on Dead Feature Rant, so he counts. He definitely did the thing. He engages the community. He retweets the tweets for the show. I'll let him know like 15 minutes before the show. He'll put out a tweet himself sometimes on the H1Z1 proper. Get people from that. So he's been doing a good job engaging as a community and helping support Dead Feature Rant, and I really, really appreciate that from him. It's been really helpful.
Right. That I think we've talked quite a bit about it. We have one more question from chat that
This is
we
where
have.
Saw says, "Shut the hell up."
No, if I want to say shut the hell up, I'll tell you to shut the hell up. And everybody believes that. I'm sure. I don't hesitate with that. But we've got about 10 minutes left, and I'm okay to go a little bit over if we carry on or we get another question or something. But this is a pretty good one that says, and who was it from? I don't know who it was from originally, but it was, do you guys think the decision for both Landmark and EQNext to be free to play from day one, early access charges excluded, was a good one, or would you have preferred a payment model with more in-game freedoms? Now, I want to preface our answers with SOE as a company and Mark Tuttle as their free-to-play model exec or VP are committed to this for all of their games, and they have very good reason for it, and in the past have proven to be some of the more, should I say, ethical free-to-play models. They're not selling dice rolls. They're not selling excessive power-ups.
$20 shotgun, $25 assault rifle, $30 sniper rifle. That's Nexon, and they sell those.
$20 roll to see if you get more gold or a token for a special weapon.
That's so bad.
No. Mark Tuttle, I talked to him at SOE Live a little bit. I was hammered, and he didn't seem to like me very much because I was some drunk guy talking to him. And rightly so, but he seems, from that conversation, which I remember, very much into time to money conversion. Anything that feels like a grind, you can pay out. You can pay. That's the SOE free to play, ongoing. They want to create and take advantage of time to money conversion. Now, I don't mind because I can feel good about grinding that out myself, or feel good about not having to do it. And in the end, it's still available, and the cost, as long as it's not like $1, as long as the time to money conversion makes sense, and not a $10 an hour conversion, but it has to make sense. I don't have a problem with free-to-play models. Now, Babycannon and I had a little bit of a conversation earlier about models and why they exist and why they're successful. Now, part of that has to do with what is valued in the game and why people play the game to begin with. MMORPG free-to-play models take advantage of the fact that we're addicted to progression. We get hooked on it. It's a positive feedback loop with a open your wallet, next hit implemented into it. And then some games make it worse by adding in a gambling mentality where you open your wallet for a chance at a hit. So you could either get the drug or the
Wait,
sugar.
wait. First, they make you feel like you've earned collecting a box that you then have to buy the key for.
Oh yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, we did talk about Ebony quite a bit earlier, and that was one of the things that they've done. They do in Ebony, but some of those are psychological abuse to those of us with addiction problems, and MOBAs take advantage of the fact that their gameplay is exciting and fun, and people come back for the gameplay. They come back to play their game because they love playing the game, and then they can sell skins. They can sell visual upgrades for, well, I just want to look different or feel a little bit different while I'm playing a game that I'm going to play anyway because I love playing this game all the time. When we talk about EverQuest Next and we talk about Landmark, we're talking about games that don't fit into either of these genres fully. So implementing a reasonably effective free-to-play model for either of these games is going to be very, very, very difficult. Gemstone was one of the first Gemstone and Akio were some of the first free-to-play models. MUDs. Gemstone became the company that made Hero Engine, by the way, if anyone doesn't know. These ideas progressed out of games that people were loving playing based on playing. But what do you guys think? I know I just ranted through our time. What can it work in these next generation new gameplay style models when the ground is not, when we haven't treaded the waters? Can we do a free-to-play model yet? I know we are.
Well, free-to-play is a model that's existed for a while, going back to, once again, Neopets and Nexon have forged the way, and while I feel like a lot of their policies are a lot of, and their pricing sometimes is maybe not that ideal, sometimes even their policies, I would say, are anti-consumerist, like your virtual currency will full-on expire if you don't use any for a certain period of time. That's bogus. That's like, somebody gets in a coma or something, they wake up and come back to their game and their money is gone. It's like, yeah, sorry, the system was meant to do that. We're not going to help you. That's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. I interned at Neopets Geo, so just keep that in mind. But that and Maple Story was a big game for a while, and it really was one of the major things that helped kind of forge the path to free to play. Free to play has been kind of building over the past 10, 15 years, almost, I would say at this point. And it's at the point where companies have been able to monetize it and keep the doors open and keep making new, fresh stuff. But at the same time, a lot of companies, it seems like they're relying on their advertising and, the scheming their whales out of money rather than actually making a good product. And I guess it's that for EverQuest Next and Landmark. I mean, more for EverQuest Next, I'm hoping that they won't have to do that. That the quality of the game and what they're offering and the innovation and revolutionary nature of it is so amazing that it's the fact that it's free to play is even more of a selling point. It's like, holy crap, and you're offering that for free? Wow, killer. And I'm not saying that anything's going to be a wow killer, but it's that it's just going to be a really big experience for everybody, just anybody being able to get into it.
I mean, they have their equivalent of a subscription model with all access, essentially. I mean, that's what that's become. I don't know.
Do we care? I mean, do subscription models really stop us from playing games that we may want to play? I don't pay for games. I don't sign up to pay $15 a month for a game right now. I'm just not in a position where it makes sense to do that. But for some reason, it makes sense to pay $40 for a game as a one-time cost. I don't know. I am turned off to the monthly fee model. I feel like it's a commitment, even if it's only $15. That in the past, paying that $15 for WoW to keep me from spending money elsewhere was saving me a fortune. But now I feel like it's not. The benefit of the subscription model, I don't agree with. Now, the pay to be able to play forever with a guarantee of only cosmetic items being sold in the future, if that guarantee is bona fide, I I like that. I like the buy-in. I like the I don't like the game being open to free trials for everyone all the time. I like the buy-in. I don't know. I don't mind it. I'd rather pay up front than have the Smite thing of, well, you've been playing for a while. You could play the game 8 hours a day every day for the next 2 years in order to get all of the gods to be able to play all of the different options, or you could just basically buy the game for $20 and get the god pack. You know, this idea that, but that starts people opening their wallet. Well, I bought the god pack, so maybe I want to get some skins, and I want to get the god pack, but the god pack costs 30 gems, but I can only buy 20 or 40. I can't actually buy 30. You know, all these tricks. I like paying up front, knowing exactly what I'm getting out of a game, and having an option to spend money that really feels like an option and not a part of the game. Star Wars: The Old Republic was a, content dry subscription game when it was launched. It had some good story and was fun to play for a while. The free-to-play model, every time you complete a quest, it goes, you got this reward. If you subscribed, you would get twice as much. It's like everything that you do is a pop-up. Give me your money, give me your money, give your money. There has to be a balance. It has to be about playing the game, not about standing in front of ads all the time.
Yeah, no, I get you. I guess there's one thing that I absolutely don't want to see in any game ever again was the free to play, or excuse me, it wasn't free to play. It was when they were doing the thing where you could make up to a BR6 character in PlanetSide 1 level 6 for free. And unfortunately, part of that, they had these billboards in the spawn areas. Normally, they'd have your faction's propaganda posters. Instead, they were playing ads, loud, unmutable ads. They were the worst ads too. Like there's this one that was on loop about this guy who was recovering from like drug addiction and stuff and trying to get off the streets. It's like, I don't want to hear this guy 15 times while I'm getting my equipment configured and waiting for the deployable station. What the hell is this? So
I would rather have that than paying $60 for a non-subscription, non-nothing game. Just pay once and then find out it's half a game, and like a month or two later have them charge you $5, $10, $20 for DLC.
I hate DLC, and I think SOE isn't doing DLC anymore. I'm pretty sure that maybe they're still doing it with EverQuest 1, 2, and DCUO, but for PlanetSide 2, for Landmark, and for EverQuest Next, I believe they've said there will be no DLCs. And this might not be a. This could be.
Say that now. But
yeah, it could. It could.
Them in 10 years.
It could be a George Bush read my lips sort of thing, but yeah, there will be no more.
Download content if we make you go out and buy an actual disc now.
Yeah, no, that's especially not going to happen.
You gotta go to Target and buy a card to be able to download it. It's not a disc anymore. It's just it's a code that only exists on the card at the store.
That would be awesome.
But, hey, one of the things
as
people
long
are talking
as it comes
about
with the book, I'm all good.
Yeah, well, But we've had that talk, and I know Serials and I agree. He was doing that on Live Feature Rant. We love the book. We want the return of the book. But one other thing in chat, people are reacting negatively to like MOBAs and stuff like that. And what we were talking about earlier, and one of the things I said that I firmly believe is the reason MOBAs can get away with selling pretty much cosmetics. They sell the majority of their sales comes from cosmetics is because the gameplay is fun and engaging and keeps millions of people playing. And no MMORPG has proven to be that engaging from that kind of standpoint to satisfy a free-to-play model that doesn't involve progression, that doesn't involve power-ups, that doesn't involve some sort of feeling of getting that positive feedback. That what you do in an MMORPG is you pay for positive feedback. What you do in a MOBA is you pay for aesthetically pleasing views. Assuming that you can buy guns. There are other things, but they make the majority of their money selling skins. Like the huge, vast majority. Some people say, "Well, I can't play this champion or I can't play this god or whatever." They make their money selling skins.
Well, also, it's not just the skins themselves. Every time they release a new champion, the champion itself, that sells, and then, of course, the skins on top of that. So every time they release a new champion, it's basically opening up the wallets again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's also tied into the fact that there's no. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
you're the guest.
Oh. Well, okay. There's no emotional attachment to your characters in MOBAs. You have an hour-long game and it's dead. It's done. It's over. You start again. Yeah, you might get, a few little points here or there to build up background stuff for your character, or for your account, but your character's dead. In MMORPGs, like, you get an emotional attachment to your character, and not just like your actual character, but the character you yourself play in the game, whether it's in chat or while you're killing people or whatever. So like it's an entirely different market that you're selling to.
Yeah.
Look at RPGs. You could never go into a MOBA and try to talk those MOBA players into buying housing for their characters.
Oh, that would be a different kind of MOBA. That's a completely okay. Now you're almost talking about something different. That's almost like a build your own half of the map sort of MOBA, which would be awesome. They would make so much money if they did that. Are you kidding? And the different,
You can do it in Landmark. That's what they keep telling us.
Yeah.
Now, I do feel like sometimes within MMOs, real quick. Sometimes I feel like within MMOs the decision.
I was going to wrap up. You say what you're going to say.
Just within MMOs, the decision of free-to-play for me versus a subscription model, I think sometimes does depend on how confident you are you're going to have a successful game. And I think sometimes, I don't know, that's my opinion.
And which would you choose if you were more confident?
I think if you were confident you had a game people would want to play and would love to play, they would pay for it. So you could do a constant subscription model. But I don't know how much they're making off of buy-ins. I don't know. I mean, it could be, I could be completely wrong, and they actually make quite a bit off of their store. I don't know. But without knowing the financials, I don't know if it's financially makes more sense to them to have a subscription model, or if they're going to get more money per player making it free and having them buy other stuff within the store. I don't know where their financials are, so I guess I can't really say. But.
So, to wrap up, going on this, on a positive, hype-creating note, EverQuest Next is designed to be an MMORPG that incorporates the in-the-moment mechanical fun that is experienced in MOBAs from the ground up. So EverQuest Next, it may not be what every MOBA player wants, It may not be what every MMORPG player wants, but I'm pretty damn sure it's going to be good for a free-to-play model. And I think that I think that the middle ground there is going to be very, very successful, and I'm looking forward to it greatly. So we have three other people here. As we say goodbye, and Neurotoxin's going to go last and send us off on a raid. It's his channel. But as we go, I'm Sog. Great to see all you guys again. Thanks for coming out. I wasn't quite as negative as I was planning on being today. We had great conversation. Our guest tonight was Babycannon. Thank you for coming. Have a little send-off.
Thank you for having me. It was lots of fun. I'm really glad I didn't projectile vomit for you all. I have nothing to promote. I'm like a half-hearted streamer right now until I start back up at work in January. I do have a camera though, yay! So if you want, follow me at Babycannon, or on Twitter I'm Babycannon23, or in game I'm Foofy Girl. Just yell at me, laugh at me, whisper me, whatever. Say hi. I like talking to people.
Phantom X.
Same old for me. I've started a new job, so I haven't really been doing a whole lot more. I think I'm actually only on Nexus like once a week now, checking the site. So hopefully that will change soon. But yeah, nothing else really for me. Just hoping to spend a whole hell of a lot more time fighting monsters. Although I have a feeling I'll get bored after the first week. But
Oh, I don't know how bored it's going to get when you get your butt kicked in Tier 3 and there's still 2 more tiers to go. So,
I hope you're right.
yeah, I'm hoping I'm right too. I'm hoping that it's going to be furious trying to get down through the bottom tiers. But anyway, this wraps it up. Of course, I am Legendary Neurotoxin. If you don't know what I'm all about and where to find me, that means you missed the beginning of the episode. So when we get it up on YouTube, just go ahead and do yourself a favor and watch it all, probably the entire thing from beginning to end. Take notes and think about some stuff you want to ask us about next week. But we are going to be wrapping up. We're going to be bringing this party to a good friend, Indy. Indy not only is a streamer who loves indie games and is currently doing the 12 Days of Indie Christmas, a Toys for Tots campaign, but he's also been a guest on Who's Gaming Now. He's been been a part of the team here a little bit, and it's been great to have him. So that's where we're going to be bringing this party over to Indy's channel, and I will see you all over there. Thank you all for coming. Bye-bye.